Hello. This is Eric McRay, artist, entrepreneur, and art educator. Today I had a really interesting thing happen today in the studio. I was there and a lady comes through and she's looking at my work. And I asked her, was she an artist? And she said she was a quilter. And she made a comment about her quilts don't sell. And as if quilts had no value. And immediately I thought of Anne Harwell, who's like one of the most phenomenal quilt artists I've ever met. And does some amazing work that sells for extremely high prices, has a great circle of collectors. And then the lady proceeded to talk about her children not valuing what she did. And once again, then my mind drifted off to, I thought about when my son was 4 years old. And he was spent a lot of time with me in the studio, and I was caring for him, and he was there working with me. And literally, I had my son at 4 years old going to art openings and off to breaking down exhibitions and loading my vehicle. And he was able to carry little pieces of art and whatnot, and some of them were really expensive. And one day we were coming into the studio, and he said, I have to be really cautious with this. I have to be careful with this because these are very delicate. He was 4 years old, and he understood the value of what I produced and what it provided for our family. And then I thought, well, if this lady's children don't understand the value of what she has, whose fault was that? That she didn't impart to others that what she has value. And then she made a comment about the quilts she had. She gave them away. So, one, she didn't value them enough to impart that value in her children. So her children understood that something she created had potential value or had value in itself. Also, she was giving away her work, which communicates to others that if you just randomly giving something away, people by nature are suspicious. When you walk through the mall and the person's there trying to hand you little chunks of chicken and whatnot, and say, oh, you want a sample? A lot of people, oh, no, thank you, because they're suspicious. Why are you giving this stuff away? Obviously, you want something from me. So if she's giving her work away, then obviously others will say, well, it must not be worth much if you're just giving it away randomly. So the value of your work as an artist is established by you. You have to communicate to others that your time that you took to create what you create has a value. The materials you use to create your art have a value. Your concepts, your ideas, your vision has a value. Let's say you've never sold not one piece of art in your life, but just the fact that you made that investment in creating something, sculpting, photographing, whatever, gives it a value. Now that's separate from a free market value where you have a series of collectors and galleries and you're doing this and that and doing exhibitions and fairs and showings, and you're selling work and people are hanging your work or place it in their home or some corporation or museum or wherever it may go. That's a separate issue. That's where the free market is determining that this piece of art has a value, whether it's $1,000 or $10 or $10,000 or $1 million or whatever that piece of art is worth. Is determined by a free market and the powers that be and collectors and auction houses and so forth. All these different things in the varied art world determine the value of art. But you as an individual, as a creator, placing your work out there in the world, you have to communicate to others and establish the value of your art. And one of the biggest mistakes you can make is to not let your family know. Because it has to start, like they say, charity starts at home. Your family has to know your work has value. Your circle has to know your work has value. And then you have to communicate to those around you. So if you don't have any respect, it's because you're not established a boundary or lines by which you demand a certain level of respect for your work. So this is what you have to do. Now, artists make donations to art auctions and fundraisers and all these kind of things. That's a whole nother can of worms, and that's another topic of discussion. I have mixed feelings about that. and I've supported many over the years. But fundamentally, when you make your work, and if you want it to be appreciated, the last thing you should do is give it away. No one gives away gold, diamonds, oil, land. These things have value. They have a market value. So anything that somebody by nature just throws away, gives away randomly, and it doesn't have a value to people. So when earlier as a young artist, I used to give art away to my family and friends as Christmas gifts, and here's something I made for you, and I quickly found it. My family members didn't appreciate it, and a lot of that work was probably destroyed, thrown away, found it here, there, whatever, disposed of. Nobody knew, and my feelings were hurt, and I was disappointed. But when I started selling my work to my relatives, oh boy, did things change. I said, and when I started to build a career and my relatives were interested, I said, well, that piece of art is $500. Well, that piece of art is $100, or whatever that price may be. And I quickly found that when they spend their sweat equity, their time, their energy on my work, then I noticed when I came to their homes, they could quickly point out with pride where that piece of art, my art, was placed in their home, because they had an investment, versus when I gave them something, it mysteriously disappeared. So think about it. Create your own value. And that value has to come internally from you and then communicate it out to others. Because if you don't value what you do and what you have, no one else will. So you have to first say, my time, my effort, my energy has a value. And then that in itself will make others aware that they must appreciate what you do. Keep up the good work. Keep making art. Take care. Bye.